Some people would call this just a big mess, but I call it a big mess. No, I call it the beginning of my food forest. Good morning, dumpsterinos and frugalistas. How are you all today? We have a little gardening project going. We are taking over parts of the yard and turning those spots into little vegetable patches because I'm finding spots in the backyard where there's no grass growing. And Frugal Daddy doesn't really want me to turn these bare spots into vegetable patches, but like tough luck, Frugal Daddy, because nobody's planting grass there, nobody's tending to grass there, and it's dirt. It's, you know what? He can mind his own beeswax. I'm taking over. I haven't dug up the front yard yet. That'll come next. But let me show you. Let me show you my dead spots. Let me show you what we're gonna do. And you all remember that that's a dumpster plant? That's a good one. Have I shown you guys the rose bush? Let me give you a rose bush update too. So this is the little rose bush. Frugal Daddy brought this home for the pot, so I could use the pot, because I said always be on the lookout for pots. And it was just a dead, sticky stump of deadness, and it was dead, or so we thought. And then it just sat out here being ignored, and we got some rain, and it started to grow leaves. Look how healthy this is. If I tried to grow a rose bush, I could not get it to be this healthy, but it does kind of show how you need to cut them way, way back. But I just noticed it's starting to grow flowers, and they're yellow roses. And I take this whole rose bush as a gift from my father who would be turning 101 next month if he was still alive. He always used to get me yellow roses for my birthday, or, well, my birthday usually, for whatever occasion, because I liked yellow roses. I didn't like red roses. I liked yellow roses. And when I saw the yellow roses blooming, I just thought, Dad's brought me yellow roses. All right, we're in the backyard. There's a ton of daddy mess going on back here. But look at this new patch of ground. So this would normally have a bunch of weeds, and Frugal Daddy had a car parked here, so basically it was just really not much of anything left underneath. And but this area of the yard is always, it never really grows much, and the ground is really hard packed and really dry. And so Daddy was saying, nothing's gonna grow here. I know this patch of land. And I said, step aside, buddy, I'm taking over. So I dug it all up. Like, I took my little shovel, since I don't have a rototiller, and I just dug it all up to toss the soil around. And then we had a huge, massive rainstorm, so that kind of patted it all down again. And you can see I'm kind of trying to fence it off. The problem with this spot is, and why I have all these sort of weird random things in here, is because the dog will just run right through here and trample on all the plants, because she doesn't really accept, you know, visual barriers as an indication of anything, like walk around. She might try to jump over. So anyway, I'm just trying to protect my new tomatoes that I put in here with all this various crap that is lying around, until I can get this whole bed planted, and then I'll try to have it sort of fenced all the way around. But anyway, so I have some tomatoes in a row, and they're doing pretty well so far. And I don't know if we ever showed you these giant water jugs. Frugal Daddy found them somewhere in some trash, you know, empty. They weren't full of water, but they were just jugs. And I thought, those are cool. We can do something with those. Either use them as water collecting devices, should we have to collect rainwater, or if we have to escape down the river, we can make a little pontoon raft with those. I know, cool idea. There's my Jasper. So the picnic table where we have often filmed dumpster hauls in the past is now my little baby seedling garden center. These are a bunch of bush beans that I just planted that I need to put in somewhere. These are cantaloupe. This is something I planted from seed that I can't remember what. And then these are just tomato suckers that I pulled off and jammed in there, hoping that they'll root. Then these are, well, the littlest ones, little ones, those are seedlings of the yellow pear tomatoes, which I've never grown anymore, but I thought, how cool, how exciting. And then the bigger ones jammed in here and there are also suckers from pruning the bigger tomatoes, and I just kind of jammed them in the dirt and hoped that they would root. Those are suckers. Those are all suckers. Don't mess with my suckers. That's a sucker, but that pot needs a hole drilled in the bottom so it'll drain because it got flooded. We had a lot of rain the other night. And then those are cucumbers with a sucker jammed in there. And I need to plant those, so I'm going to show you where I'm going to put those. So, let me show you this. Okay, we're on the other side of our little pool. This hose situation, I do not like having the yard like this. This is all a Frugal Daddy thing, but he has all these hoses here. He's got a thing hooked up with the pump, and the water comes out, and I guess it goes through the filter, and then it goes back in where that hose goes up the side. And he has it all kind of snaking around the ground because when the sun hits this, all the water in the hoses gets heated up, quite warm in fact. So when he puts it on and pumps the water back into the pool, it's warm water going back in. But it's kind of an eyesore, one would say. So look, here's my new patch of ground for the cucumbers. Why do we have this big round dead patch amongst all the beautiful weeds? The little blue pool, it is the dog's pool. And it was here, and it had dirty standing water in it, and just... we all need to remember that mosquitoes breed in standing water. So, yuck, you don't want standing water. So, look, I just emptied this and hosed it out to clean it yesterday. And this is from the rain we had last night. But, oof! So, this is the little... So, anyway. I tossed it over there just to be out of the way and dry off. But it left this dead spot, so I figured, well, I'm just going to clear out the ground and dig it up and make this my little cucumber patch. Or I could do the bush beans here. I don't know. I love growing the green beans because they're really easy to grow and they're fun to harvest. Just take a look at all that over there. Pumpkins are doing well. Started to harvest some of the blackberries, thank goodness. Anyway, I love doing green beans because they're really easy, though they're not my favorite veg to actually eat. Though I do like the fresh ones. Anyway, this is the project of the day. Digging up all the little leftover growth, the roots and so forth, and maybe even making it a little bit bigger as I pull weeds. And then we can put the cucumber plants in here. I just need to have something to block it off so the dog doesn't just run through, because of course she would just run through and trample them all and break my little cucumber loving heart. All right, this is over by the little fish pond. They just sprouted up. I didn't see those there yesterday. Those are potatoes. Potatoes in a big orange bucket. Potatoes in a cardboard box. Potatoes growing in the tire. Over here in the shade, I'm growing more of this. I can't remember what this is. What did I grow? What leaf is shaped like that? What are you doing under there? Are you watching the fish? We call it the koi pond because the person we bought the house from called it a koi pond, but I think they're actually just big goldfish. So all these tomatoes were volunteers. And I was sort of bemoaning the fact that my tomatoes were growing, but nobody had little yellow flowers yet. And I thought, well, what is the point? What is the point of you if you're not going to grow the little yellow flowers? Because then I'm not going to have any fruit. But then I see the tiniest little yellow flowers are starting. I think that these volunteers are from a cherry tomato plant. Originally, the original was grown like 3 years ago, and there have been volunteers ever since, but every season they make smaller and smaller and smaller cherry tomatoes. So they're probably just not even really worth growing in terms of harvesting, but when I see volunteers, it's like you have to have a chance to live. Like, why would I just pull you and throw you away or just leave you to the wolves? This one's got some little flowers. Now, one of them around here somewhere has a few little berries on it. I'll show you how tiny they are, because they're extremely tiny. There's my pumpkin that I put on this tomato cage for whatever reason, which seems stupid because now where's it gonna go? Now we have a pumpkin growing over in this pot, these crowded pots, growing in the corner, and it started to grow up, 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 and I kind of trained it to go over to those pieces of wood that are just leaning in the corner, and then I figure, it can go up and grow pumpkins up on the roof of the porch. How cool would that be? So I have tomatoes mixed in with a lot of things. I'm pretty sure this is a pumpkin. Where's my tomato with the little berries on it? Oop, look, this one has flowers. Here we go. All right, here we go. Look at these tiny little babies. You think they're gonna grow bigger? I don't think so. I don't know why I'm growing these plants. But anyway, some of these are from seeds that I've planted purposely, but all the ones that are growing right in the ground over there were all volunteers. I lined them up. They weren't growing lined up. Our sunflower back there. These I probably need to take out and plant in the dirt somewhere because they're sunflowers. All right, so out front on the path, we have lots of different things growing in our containers. We have cucumbers, tomatoes. I need to start to tie the tomatoes to their stakes, which are just big sticks I found in the yard. We've got broccoli going and watermelons. Sure, I have, what, 3 or 4 watermelon plants growing in that little pot. They're going to be fine. They're going to produce. I'm sure they will. They just need lots of love and nutrition. I do visit these plants at least twice a day, by which I mean I come out in the morning. If they need to be watered, I water them, which is almost every day, but we've had rain the last 2 days, so I don't have to water today. I try to pull out the weeds. I do my pruning. I give these plants a lot more attention than they probably want. Look at the flowers on you. Fascinating, 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 fascinating. It will be interesting to see whether plants in pots can produce as much as plants in the ground. You know, why is there an egg carton in the front yard? Liesel, ugh. I know why. Because I had a carton of eggshells that I had out on the front porch because I wanted to bury the eggshells in with the tomatoes. And Liesel decided that that'd be a fun thing to play with. I just love when dogs strew garbage all over your yard. What are you doing up there on that ladder? That's so cute. Just chilling out, huh? Do we have any flowers? Ooh, there is. Look, see how much bigger those flowers are? So I think that's going to make a bigger tomato. I'm putting all this effort into these tomato plants, some of which I think are going to, I don't know. Ooh, there we go. Who's on patrol? German Shepherds are so smart, and if you don't properly train them and engage their brains, which that's us, no proper training, no brain engagement, she just, it's like she's assigned herself work, because they're working dogs and they're so smart. And oh, there she is with her friend. I told you they were best friends. Liesel just patrols the yard all day. Like, she's just on guard all the time. Self-imposed. I mean, we don't make her be a guard dog. I wouldn't know how to train a dog to be a guard dog. I can't train a dog to do anything. It's just, anyway, I'm lucky she's potty trained. Tomato plant stuck in there by a strawberry, by a weed, by a shrubbery. Got some potatoes back here. This isn't doing too well. What's happening here? This is oh, geez, look. There's a weirdo cucumber growing. Look at it. Look, it's somewhat malformed. Why are these leaves all dying? Like, what's happening, cucumber? Why are you being this way? I'm going to pull off the dead leaves because I don't know if I'm supposed to, but they're not going to do it any good. I mean, the rest of the plant, it still seems like it's alive and it's coming up on the fence line. This one too. Like, what's going on, dude? Dude? Let me pull your dead bits off. Oh, you don't look like you're in good shape at all. What happened to you? You guarding the strawberry patch? Okay, these are some bush beans. Bush bean. Trying to be a bush bean. Something happened there to the leaves. So I planted those directly in the ground as opposed to the ones that I started in their little seed containers. And these definitely took longer to sprout in the ground, which I thought was weird than they did in the little seed things, but maybe because I was able to make sure the other ones stayed moist a little more easily than I tended to these. But anyway, they're growing now. I know you think I've planted them in the shade, which I may well have done, but there is sun that comes into this part of the garden, this part of the yard in the late afternoon. Well, anytime afternoon. So again, we've seen this a million times. Potatoes, potatoes, sunflowers. And then this is interesting. It's just fascinating. So I have these cucumbers growing in just these hanging pots. And I just find it interesting to see what you can do when you aren't in the ground. And this one is growing, well, it's growing this one, which is cool. And this guy who's curling. And this one has some babies on it. I think it's so cute how the cucumber grows up behind the flower. Like a little tiny gherkin pickle. Now these sunflowers, I was hoping that I'd planted those giant ones that are like bigger than your head, because I'm doing this to harvest the seeds, and obviously this one is not as big as my head. These are smaller. But you can see with these little, the little centerpiece flower things, those little things in the middle, they're starting to come off, and you can see the seeds behind them. When I've seen people harvest their sunflowers, usually they still have all these like flowery things, and they just break them off and you have the seeds underneath. Mine are just kind of coming off. But it's not time to harvest this yet. You're not supposed to harvest till it's dead and the petals are all dead and it's all yellow on the back. But I don't know. I just got to make sure that the birds don't eat these. So we have a lot of potatoes here that seem to be growing and nowhere near being ready to be harvested. We have a bean plant. Oh, look, there's a bean. I'll let that grow a little more. It's fascinating over here. More sunflowers. With some cucumbers on the ground back here that are just, look, baby cucumber. They're just doing their thing. But I'm sure they're way too crowded with all these potatoes and other things I've jammed in here. That's why I'm out here watering and feeding them all the time. Look, my potato plants have flowers. So that means they're growing potatoes. Now remember way back in the orchard, yeah, the 4 fruit trees we have that are growing practically nothing. It's a good orchard, aim. So back in the orchard, you know, I was clearing it out. I'm still clearing it out. I mean, it's going to take forever. It's hot back there. It's really hard work. It's hard work. Hard work. I like hard work, but it just gets really hot. So anyway, I want to show you what I started, because I did get one little area cleared. And so what did I plant? Potatoes and some tomatoes. So I'll show you that really quickly. Here we go, back in this mess. But this is the little patch that I cleared. And I actually dug trenches. Liesel, do not go in the potatoes. Liesel will just come in here and lay down on them. But I did make trenches, and the rains kind of filled them in. But we do have potatoes growing. Potato. And sometimes I come out after a rain and I see that some of the potatoes are uncovered. Like that one! So I cover it up again with dirt. Like I dig out the trench again. And ew, look at the worms! Alright, so the potato's buried again. Nasty. Alright, so we have some potatoes going back here. And I really feel like along this fence line where it's oh so oppressively sunny, I could put in some sunflowers or something. I don't know what. And then I have more tomato transplants over here. And then do you remember these weird, terracotta containers that were all stacked up? I mean, why would you remember that? But they were stacked up over there. Oh, did you want to come take a dump in the potatoes? Sure. Let me dig out a spot for you. So anyway, I had all these volunteers in a different garden, well, the garden where the blackberries are. And they were kind of back in the shade, and I thought they're not going to make it back there. And now I've got these things. I'll turn these into pots for the tomatoes. I know, it's experimental. There's a lot of experimentation going on, so we'll see. We have another cardboard box here with potatoes. See, that's a potato. And weeds are not welcome. Oh, look. Look who's taking a dump over here. Oh, bury it, please. No, go ahead. And then when I dig through that with my hands, I can just dig right into that. That's awesome. Now, I don't see much happening in this corner, but I did plant 3 sweet potatoes. They weren't even sprouting. They were in amazingly good shape, but I just thought, what the heck? Experiment, see what happens, see if they sprout. So some of these tomatoes are doing pretty well. Ooh, these two are improving. They were not doing well. They were really small and scrawny. I mean, they look small now, but they were smaller, which is why they're sharing a container. But some of these seem to have survived their transplantation. Obviously, their roots can go down really deep, but they can't really spread side to side. So we will just see. See, look, 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 wheelbarrow. Oh, there's like a giant beetle doing a dead man's float. Oh, I'm sorry, guy. But anyway, standing water like this, no good. Mosquitoes are gonna breed in there, and your beetles are going for a swim and they're not making it. We got a pile of bricks. We have a lot of bricks. We have a lot of bricks. I should use the bricks. Oh my God, yes. Like the I Love Lucy episode where Lucy and Ethel build the barbecue. Remember, Ricky and Fred built the barbecue with bricks, but Lucy was mixing the cement with her hand and she lost her engagement ring or her wedding ring. And they figured it's somewhere in the mortar. So she and Ethel take apart the whole brick barbecue that Fred and Ricky built. And then they put it back together so they don't get in trouble. But of course, you know how they put it back together. If you didn't see this episode, if you're thinking, wait, didn't Lucy and Ricky, didn't they live in New York City? Why are they building a barbecue? They moved to Connecticut, okay? They moved out of the city in the end of the series. They had chickens. They made a barbecue. They grew flowers. You must watch. It is excellent. All right, here is patch number 1. I know you're gonna say, that doesn't look that great. Why is there garbage all the way around it? I don't really have enough fencing yet to block it off. I just have these little pieces of garden fence that Frugal Daddy found in somebody's trash. So I just have a lot of things kind of around the perimeter because I'm trying to teach the dog not to run through the vegetable garden. And she's actually doing pretty well with it. So I'm trying to create, you know, visual barriers for her around the edge. But I also came up with a genius idea last night, which I haven't done yet. But see, I have some plastic bins that were just laying around the yard, so I just tossed them in to be part of the fence. But what I'm going to do is keep them as part of the barrier to the garden, but flip them over, fill them with dirt, and then do some kind of container gardening in them as the periphery around this garden bed. I know, genius. I got some green beans going, cucumbers, tomatoes, there's cantaloupe in here. And now we have this little round vegetable patch. So I have some cucumbers, I have bean plants right in the middle and cucumbers around the edge. And then I have this little bit of garden fence. It's hard to see, but the green wire stuff to keep the dog from going in there. She can jump right over. She can jump over a much higher fence from a standstill. But again, visual barrier, don't do it. I have 4 cucumbers in these hanging pots all together, and they all looked so dead yesterday. It really gave me a fright, but they just needed water. And after they got water, they perked right back up. But clearly, if you're gonna grow plants in containers, the way I'm trying to, bigger containers probably would be helpful in terms of water retention. Ooh, check out this. I hadn't even seen that this had made these flowers, the nasturtium. Look at that. Yeah, baby. Here, oh, look who's inside. It's a little bee. He's upside down, too. You can see his little butt. Ah, another baby, another baby, another baby. Look at that one. And that one. Oh, they're so cute. You're so cute, my baby watermelons. Then we're back out here to the orchard that is making progress, but not tons, not quickly. But I had a couple of sunflowers in a pot that I thought needed to be transplanted. So I brought them out over here, and of course one of them I just broke off completely trying to transplant it. I also put some more sunflower seeds just in the dirt over there by the fence because I figured there's enough time, they can grow, and there's gonna be just so much sun out here. So we have to experiment. We got to know. We're working with what we have, right? Like, I would love to have 100 of those giant buckets from Home Depot to do my container gardening in, but I don't have those. And unless they're giving them out free, I'm not going to have those. But anyway, some of these plants are doing quite well. So that's what's going on back here. This all has to be cleared out, but I think all along this fence line eventually is going to be vegetable gardens someday, some year. So that's this morning's garden update. Ooh, almost tripped and fell into the pond.